Are you gonna over?
All that rain we got down here, they started getting up down here.
I would.
educational opportunities for all of our students. We're community members, former educators, current educators who have been meeting over the past several years. I could just hear something. Anyway, meeting over the past several years to hear from students, their families, and others from Rosebud about what matters most to them. And so this year, we actually were able to visit with some students and former students pretty recently to hear their perspectives on what issues are most pressing for them right now. And we've also partnered with Takala Inagio Peer Mentors, who you'll get to meet here in a little bit, who designed the questions for today's forum. So the questions that you'll be asked really represent some of the issues that are most pressing to young people in the Todd County School District right now. And they'll be the ones asking the questions. So after I'm done, I'm just going to kind of step back and let them take the lead here. But before we begin with candidate questions, we just want to thank everybody who's joining us on Zoom and on channel 93 as well. If you are on Zoom, please just stay on mute for the duration of the forum. And we will not be taking public questions for this forum for the candidates, but we also would love to hear from anybody who's interested in sharing their perspectives with For Rosebud. So be sure to follow us on Facebook and we'll get you into a discussion circle. So an overview of the time, we've compiled several questions for our candidates today ahead of the forum based on topics that have come up in our conversations with young people across Rosebud. The general themes of the questions and some specific questions have been shared with candidates, but for the most part, they don't know what questions they're going to be asked. So let's give them a little bit of grace. If y'all need a moment to think, that's fine. Rosemary is going to be our timer and she won't start the timer until you start your response. So we understand that you don't know what question is coming your way and you might need a second, and that's totally fine. And I just ask that for folks who are zooming in or watching on channel 93 that we just take that into consideration. So the way that the flow of time is going to work is we'll direct a question at a particular candidate. That individual will have 1 minute to respond. Candidates, please be mindful of Rosemary, who has one sign that says 30 seconds for when you're about halfway through, and a nice smiley face that means stop to just let you know when your time's up. And so when she holds up that red sign, just be sure to honor that sign and just wrap up your statement as quickly as possible so we can make sure that everybody gets a fair shake. Yeah, candidates, we just ask that you stick to the questions or responding to the questions that are asked, but we also want this experience to be pleasant for you and for all parties involved. So this isn't a debate. It's not a back and forth. It's really just an opportunity for everybody to share their perspectives on particular issues. Yeah, not intended to be any sort of debate. But then at the end, every candidate will have a minute and a half to share anything that you didn't get a chance to share in your response to the question. So if you're like, hey, I really wanted to talk about this thing, you'll have a chance to do that at the end as well if we don't ask about it. So at this time, I would like to turn it over to the candidates to just give a brief 1 minute introduction to yourselves, including, if you wish, your personal pronouns, why you're running for Todd County School Board, and what are your hopes for the district. And for this round of questions, I'll let you know the order we're going to go in, and then, and then we'll start so that nobody feels on the spot. But it looks like actually our first couple people are not here. So Melissa, Sandra's not here, so we'll start with Alan. And then I don't believe Amanda's here. So it'll go Alan, then Tim, then Shelly, then Josh, then Deb. And each section of questions we just randomize the order completely so that nobody's having to go first all the time or last all the time. So it's just completely random. But yeah, for this one, we'll start with Alan Wilson, whenever you're ready. Yep, just an introduction.
Okay, my mic's on. All right, we're good. How me dak yapi dawa chiang kapi ushkiwa hello lokot yapi kiglaka mach yapi wani tu kuchamana yam yake mashakoi o cha ambetikile washte cha inawe kin Geraldine Eastman chiapi atele kin Richard Wilson Jr. chiapi St. Francis emata yeah Chinatown emata cha okay, hello. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Alan Wilson. I'm come from St. Francis community, specifically Chinatown, if anyone knows where that is, represent. But Yeah, I'm former employee of Todd County School District, and I am running to really be part of what they're doing. They're doing some amazing stuff for language and culture there, and I would love to help with that perspective, with my educational background and in Lakota language and culture. So I would love to participate in that. We done? Good.
Thank you so much, Alan. Next up, Tim.
Hello, Mitakiapi. My name is Tim Kenoyer Sr. I'm an incumbent running for re-election for the school board. Prior to me being on the school board, I was 8 years the Director of Transportation and Maintenance for the Todd County School District. And as a board member, I really enjoyed working with the other members to try and improve conditions at the school and also to bring forward all the parents and students' concerns. And that's why I'm running for re-election, because I thought I did a pretty good job. I'm hoping that people think I did. So I appreciate any help that you can give me, but I look forward to the run, and hopefully I get back on because it was fun. And like I say, I enjoyed working with the people and the staff. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tim. Next up, we have Shelley.
Mitakepi, chote washte na pitches up sto. My name is Shelley Means, and my mother is Rita Means, and I am a parent of Todd County School District I've got 3 kids that have graduated and still 3 currently in the district. I'm a prior school board member, and I've been off the board for a year now, but I'm looking forward to hopefully being back at the table. And it was definitely a learning experience and a big responsibility that I did not take lightly. So hopefully people have faith and trust and hope to see me back at the table, I guess.
Thank you very much, Shelley. Josh, you're up next.
Good evening, everybody. First of all, I want to thank the organizers for this forum this evening. I know it takes a lot of work and collaboration to get something like this put together, so thank you for having us this evening. Also want to thank the other candidates for being here tonight. As it was mentioned, it's important for these forums to take place for the voters out there to kind of hear a platform from each individual, and hopefully the voters are informed as far as where each person stands on some of the issues. My name is Josh Wilson, originally from St. Francis Community. Reside in Mission, South Dakota. I've been residing there for about the last 12 years or so. Currently serve as Antelope Community President. I've held that position for the last 5 years, and it's been an honor to serve Antelope Community. Also currently serve as City Council member for the City of Mission. I've been in that position for about a year now, and it's been a learning experience being a part of that government organization. We've been doing a lot of different projects and whatnot to kind of progress mission in a forward path, and so I'm glad to be a part of that. And again, I'm glad to be here this evening. Hope to enlighten individuals out there where I stand on some of the issues facing our school district, and just want to see our school district to become more empowered, more vocal for our students, parents, and staff alike, and I hope to bring that to the table if elected to the school board. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh. And Deb, we're ready for you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deb Boyd. I come from Hidalgo community. And first of all, I'd like to thank Rosebud for hosting this once again, and also to the students, Tokala and Nagio. One happens to be a former student, one's my grandson, so this is going to be very enjoyable this evening. I am also one of the incumbents, and I've served 2 terms on the board. And Todd County is just coming out of the pandemic. And I thought about running for a while, and then I thought, we're just now almost coming out. And I think we've been doing so much, in regards to, mental wellness and a lot of other things. So I think, I'd like to be a part of the decision making in this next term. So that's why I'm running again.
Thank you so much, Deb. And thank you to all the candidates for your introductions, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. I think it does take a lot of courage to show up and be like, I don't know what they're going to ask me, but I'm ready to roll with it. So we're really grateful and want to honor the fact that y'all are here. And yeah, thanks for taking the time to share a little bit about yourselves. At this point, I'm going to turn the floor over to our facilitators, Jaden, Rachel, and Matthew. Facilitators, you can share a little bit about yourselves before you ask your first round of questions. And just as a reminder, not every candidate is going to get the same question, but the questions do share some themes until like the fourth round of questions, and everybody will have the same question. But so as a note to everybody listening in, we will change the order of the candidates each time just to try to keep it fair and to ensure that, again, the same person isn't always having to go first. And so we did just like totally randomize the order of participants. But at this point, yeah, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Jaden.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, candidates. My name is Jaden Rose Whiting. I am an outreach specialist for the Tokala Inajio Youth Leadership Mentoring Program. I am also a member of the Sichunga Youth Council, and I come from the Spring Creek community, and I am a Todd County graduate class of 2019.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rachel Janice. I am an outreach specialist at Tokala Inajio Youth Leadership Mentoring Program, and I am also a member of the Sichunga Youth Council. And I am from the Grass Mountain community, and I am a Todd County alumni class of 2017.
Haumadakepi Matthew Wilson Machaplo, Chantiwashtiana Pechuzapolo. My name is Matt Wilson. I'm from the Antelope community. I am the Food Sovereignty Initiative Director at Sichunga Community Development Corporation. Also an entrepreneur. I'm a chef and owner of Dakia Foods Co. Thank you.
So the first question goes to Tim. How will you be a warrior for our educational treaty rights? And how will you fight for Native students?
All right, thank you for that question. As a board member, we tackle this subject every time we have a meeting. We look out for the students in a way that is tough because we're a public school, but we also are trying to help the kids learn in a different way, which is what you're bringing to the table. The problem we face, and everybody on this panel knows that because we all been connected to Todd County School District, is that staff turnover is atrocious. And every year we have to start all over again with new teachers and new staff. And that's always the problem, and I hope that it ends. We have to find some people who want to stay and help these kids. So as a board member, we all we can do is just help the administration try to bring on staff so that we can bring on more teachers and staff to help. Right now, it's almost impossible with the little bit of staff we have, but they do a good job, and I really look out for them, and I look forward to getting more staff for them to do this because our students need the help. And so with closing, we're going to do the best we can if I'm elected to help get more staff on to help them. Thank you.
The next question is for Shelley. What is the ideal relationship between the school district and the tribe, and how will you get there?
I think from day one, when I came on board, when I was elected the first time, we were all called into the superintendent's office one at a time to kind of have a discussion about where we would like to see the school district headed. And that was one of my main topics of discussion, was the lack of communication between the school district and the tribe, and how we were going to work on improving that. So I think We've come a long way since 4 years ago, and there's definitely room for improvement. So in the meantime, that there was a position established to kind of facilitate that conversation. And I think we did a really good job when the pandemic first hit, partnering with the tribe and some of the other tribal organizations and some of the other organizations on the reservation to get things done. So I definitely think it's important that there's back and forth communication. I think that the school district should be reporting to the tribe and vice versa. And that's the only way that we can really do the best job for our students and our staff who are also tribal members.
The next question is to Josh. What is your position on the recent removal of Chatishakowi history and culture from the state social studies standards, and what can be done at a local level to ensure students will have access to this information in school?
Thank you very much for that question. I know that that has been a very debated subject for some time, especially coming from the state level, and I'm really appalled that our leadership within the state is standing behind removing some of those standards as far as what we have come from as indigenous peoples and trying to shape what our history is. And I think at a local level with the school district level, we still need to instill that learning. It still needs to be taught. It still needs to be brought to the attention of people, all over the place. Even for me, going through Todd County, through the years, even through high school, there was a lot of the history regarding Native peoples that wasn't taught in the curriculum, and a lot of that information I learned over the years, especially during my time at South Dakota State University. And so it's really important that we keep that on the table, and I hope that our leadership at the state level really push to change and keep that the social studies portion of it in our school systems. Thank you.
Next question is for Deb. How can the district improve its efforts to elevate student voice without asking students to take on unpaid labor to act?
First, it's to listen to them. First, it's to listen to our students. I mean, looking at the makeup of our student body, 99 point something. I mean, that's who our students are, and we need to listen to the students. Truly listen to them, and as board members, take it back to the rest of the board members, take it to the superintendent and anybody, just truly listen to them, and empower them to do more.
Question is to Alan. What is the ideal relationship between the school district and the tribe, and how will you get there?
So I feel that there needs to be more transparency and communication between the tribe and Todd County School District. I did see how some of the mending meetings were, how they've gone about the meetings, and I feel like that can be really strengthened up. And just, it needs to be a healthy relationship, if you will, between the tribe and the Todd County School District. That hasn't always been the case, So I believe in working with transparency and working with the tribe on a lot of topics, because, the Todd County School District does serve, most of our kids here. Like 95% of the kids at Todd County are enrolled members of the Rosebud Sioux tribe. And we serve the most kids, our kids, through Todd County School District. So again, having that relationship with the tribe that's healthy, that that has boundaries, there just needs to be a healthy relationship in those terms. Go.
All right, moving on to the next question. Back to you again, Alan. What changes could be made to schooling or the district policy to improve mental and emotional well-being of students and teachers?
This is an awesome question. I do have a teaching background. I did teach Todd County Middle School at Talakota language there. And, during the pandemic, I was there when everything shut down. It was a huge change for us to go online. As teachers, it was super stressful. And so I know what the teachers are going through. And then we had the hybrid and everything else. And it was really just draining, mentally draining, not necessarily physically. So I feel for the teachers once, but also for our students who also went through that. It was really telling. And it's just, there have been things about people had said, online, we're going to go to online learning, but that was really apparent during the pandemic that online isn't the way to go. But in reality, I would really love to hear from the counselors that serve the district, to hear what they have to say. They are the experts on that. And I would really love to hear from them and what their thoughts are and what programs can work and what programs are available out there for not just the staff, but for the students as well. It was very traumatizing for all of us to go through the pandemic. I'm really grateful, Todd County School Board had made some tough decisions in that time. And I feel that there still needs to be more. And with the mental health and wellness, I also agree that, again, for staff and for students is really important. And I'd rather hear from the experts in that field to make my decision.
The next question is to Josh. What can be done at the district level to ensure that students have more opportunities for physical activity throughout the school day?
Thank you for that question. That's a very good one too. Physical well-being is something that is should be at the forefront, especially with a lot of our kids facing the daily challenge of battling diabetes, other health conditions that seem to really face us as Native peoples. And again, I kind of go back to when I was in school. The physical education part of it was really instilled in us, and it was part of our curriculum, part of a requirement. And now it seems that it's not so much of a requirement. And I'd like to see our kids become more active, more involved in a lot of the different aspects of being active in our schools, whether it be through physical education or extracurricular activities. And so, that needs to be, from my position anyway, that definitely needs to be brought back to the forefront, a part of our their students' daily routine, just so that we can continue to combat some of the health issues that seem to be facing our children, especially today. So, thank you.
Thank you, Josh. The next question goes to Tim. Tim, can you give examples of how our schools can better prepare students for healthy relationships with each other as well as themselves?
Well, that's a good, complicated question for me. Thanks for that one. Todd County School District has 11 different schools throughout the district, and they all differ in size. And so the larger schools will always have a difficult time getting social time together because they have so many given classes and so many people to get there. The smaller ones don't have that problem, but they still do have problems with social. But We have counselors, not enough of them, because budget, you can only hire so many with budgets, but I do think we need more counseling in the bigger schools because the social issues at home, social issues with their friends, if not friends, there's just so many issues that we don't have enough people to handle. So that the problem is going to be is how to get more people and get more money slated to those positions so we can hire more people. As far as the pandemic really shot to heck a lot of the things for the social things that the school could do for the students. And finally, we had a prom this year for the first time in 2 years. And so we can do more things, social gatherings like that, to help out, get them meshed together again. So sports is another thing. We can get more sports going because we lost a lot of students because of the pandemic, and it hurt the school district also. So, but like I say, get more social events going, but get more counseling going is my way of handling that situation. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is to Shelly. What changes could be made to schooling or district policy to improve mental, emotional well-being of students and teachers?
Thank you, Rachel. I guess I'm sitting here listening to everybody talk about the role of counselors in the schools, but what I personally would like to see is a little more focus on self-help and self-regulatory skills and start teaching those to kids early. Everybody has difficulties in life, and the sooner you start learning some of those self-help and self-regulatory skills, I think the better off you'll be. So if we could put some focus there, there's also a lot of, you look at the cultural aspect of how we lived as a people, and some of those things come into play again with the self-help and the self-regulatory skills. You learn those things naturally and inherently through some of the cultural teachings. So I personally would like to see us kind of pivot to that and do that district wide. And that could also be, incorporated for the staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Next question goes to Deb. This one's a little bit, I'm really interested in this question. This is about food. So how can the schools provide access to healthier and more traditional food options for students?
Thank you for that. Well, one of the things right now is, as Tim mentioned in his response, was, we don't have enough staff, as far as in the cooks. I mean, right now our support staff is really lacking. But one of the number one goal in Fort Todd County is partnerships. And I do know that the district has reached out, with various entities to work on things like this. We worked with, Scott, and I don't know if anyone's reached out to you, personally in regards to that. But I think, more manpower. I think that's what we need to do a better job. And we say we're doing things, but we do need to do a better job of walking our talk. It's not that we don't feel that it's important, but we're doing our best right now.
Thank you, Deb. We will be entering into our round 3, and it'll be cultural and intellectual wellness. And the first question is to Shelly. How can the district ensure that students are better equipped for a range of post-secondary options after high school?
That's a great question. And I think that what we should do is ask students that went off to college and succeeded. how they did that, asked the students who went off to college and didn't, ended up coming home and find out what they were missing. So, who to answer that? Nobody better to answer that question, I guess, than the students. Where were you getting the proper support? Where were you not getting the proper support? What could have helped you succeed? What did help you succeed? So I think canvassing the students and finding out what needs were met and what needs weren't met and going from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. This next question is for Deb. What can be done to ensure that more teachers and staff embrace Lakota language and culture in everyday learning?
Thanks, Jaden. One of the things that Todd County did was they passed the policy on OSCU standards, which, we're in our second year of working with that. We have the LLC group, Language and Lakota Culture Group, and that's an organization that get together, I'm not sure, bi-monthly, perhaps, and teachers and various other people, they get together, and so we've started that, but it's a policy that we've developed and teachers are buying into it right now. Before it was just something that was talked about and it wasn't really being done, but now, it's actually policy. And in regards to that, OSCU, Todd County, their standards are, we teach to the bare minimum, but we're able to go beyond that, So that's what we're doing, and every teacher, has the autonomy to do that. Thank you.
The next question is to Alan. How can the district incorporate more project-based and community-based learning opportunities for students and families?
Thank you for the question. I think, we could partner with the tribe. I think the district can partner with the tribe on a lot of these things, with the programs within the tribe as well. There are a lot for mental health, like Tokala and Agio and a few others that are available from the tribe. I believe the middle school and the schools utilize the equine therapy as well. But to get more involvement in the community, that's always been an issue for as long as I remember. I can't give one silver bullet answer to stop it, but I believe there are some options out there that are available, and we'd like to entertain some of those options and just hear back on some of those, from the community members themselves, from the students, from staff even. It would really be interesting to hear all those perspectives before actually, deciding on something. But I do believe it's really important for us to be more involved with the community. As a teacher, I remember, hardly any parents showing up to parent-teacher night, and there were a few other things there that I really feel we could enhance those and bring more community members in, to the schools is also something that needs to happen. Thank you.
This next question is for Josh. What is your position on and plan for strengthening cultural opportunities and wellness for all students?
Could you repeat the question? That loud vehicle outside kind of drowned you out there.
What is your position on and plan for strengthening cultural opportunities and wellness for all students?
Thank you for that question. Hearing everybody's responses, one of the things that I've always looked at is kind of even would touch base on what Ellen had said, partnering with the tribe. But to go along with those lines, we need to also be inclusive with our communities where students reside. We really need to bring a lot of the Lakota language, culture teachings back to the home, and that's where really a lot of this begins. And, you know, if we can be inclusive with the homes, the families, to really instill the importance of our cultural identity, the importance of our language, you know, that's really going to set the pathway for a lot of these goals and objectives that we want to meet. And we've had this discussion at the adult community level as well, where we've looked at bringing in various individuals to be a part of the community, to provide some platforms to show our kids to learn how to bead, really try to have something that's consistent as far as bringing teaching the language and some of the cultural aspects of where we come from and what's instilled in us. And you know, I'd like to see the school district partner with the tribe, but also directly start partnering with our communities to that regard, and really collaborate on a lot of different inputs that we can all be a part of. And I you know, that's kind of where I stand. I've always been an advocate for our communities to be involved, and you know, if elected to the school board, I'd like to see us get to that point and really bring everybody to the table to be a part of that process. So thank you.
The next question will be towards Tim. What can be done to ensure that more teachers and staff embrace Lakota language and culture in everyday learning?
Thank you for that question. That's a tough one. I'm going to do a little bit of reality check here. The problem we have at Todd County School District is time, and allowing enough time for these classes and teachers to do what they want to do. We have so many other subjects and classes to cover that they're not allowed the time to correctly do what they want to do. They get started and then the kids are off to another class. So I don't know what the answer is to that, other than to collaborate, like Josh says, with the families at home and the tribe. And I would like to challenge the parents and the tribe to step up to help the school district, help these kids learn, because they don't have the time, they don't have the staff, and they're doing the best that they can. And like I said, I'm going to commend the staff that's there. And it's a tough job. They get started on one subject and the kids are off to another class. How do you do that? So that's what I'm going back to the challenge. But this question you asked Shelley about how do you improve them moving on to college or vocational classes, secondary, that's up to the students and the parents also. They need to help the school district, because you make it what it is. Todd County has very limited resources and a lot of kids to try to teach. So it's up to those parents to help those kids get into it, do it. There's a lot of kids that have gone through Todd County that went on to college and vocational classes and succeeded. But you have to make the effort, and that comes from home first. And that's my opinion on it. And I'll do everything as a board member to help them do that, but we need help in providing these services. These teachers are overworked, they're stressed, we don't have the support staff to help them. And that's what we're going to try to do as a board. Whoever gets elected, is their number one priority is to help get staff on board. And we have to work with administration for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. We're going to move on to our fourth round, which is We Chose Honey. I'll start with Deb. Deb, how can schools be places of We Chose Honey, and what is needed to make sure that happens?
First of all, there has to be buy-in from everyone. I mean, and we have so many schools in our district, like someone mentioned, and they're all different. You know, like some schools are more, let me put it, traditional in the sense of culture. And then, but at the same time, Todd County, we're rich in human resources, but we need to reach out and we need to partner. And partnership, that's our number one goal. You know, I've said that before. And I think we just need to reach out to people and make sure that we're doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. The next question is the same one, but it's to Shelley. How can schools be places be places of Wichozani, and what is needed to make that happen?
Thank you, Rachel. I guess I kind of agree with Deb in the sense that we definitely need to partner with the tribe, with our homes, with the community in general. But I think what we can do as adults is model that. We can't expect students to do as I say, not as I do. So I think everybody, our elected officials, our parents, our teachers, and our staff, we need to model that behavior, because I'm not going to ask the students, and I tell my kids this, I'm not going to expect anything of you that I don't expect of myself. So if I can't model that behavior for them, then I shouldn't expect it of them either. So I think as adults, that's what we need to do, is step up and model that. And if we can't, then, they have questions, or, and create that environment for them. So, how do we interact with each other in the schools in front of these students? How do we interact with each other, sitting around the table? How do we behave in public, and how do we conduct ourselves when we're out in the public? Those things matter, and the students are paying attention. So, thank you.
Thanks, Shelley. And just so everyone knows that the next questions are going to be all the same, so I'll give you some time to think. So next I'll ask Tim, same question. How can schools be places of Wichozani, and what is needed to make sure that happens?
Yeah, thank you. The problem we have with that Todd County is most of the teachers, a lot of them are new TFA teachers. They have no idea what culture is, how to approach students, anything. We need to teach the teachers how to greet the students and how to act, and how they're supposed to act in schools. And without that, there's very few that know how to teach them. But that's what needs to be done. The incoming teachers need to be taught the culture before we can even go any farther than that. And also want to go back to it starts at the family. They need to come in, the family needs to help out also, so the kids know how to behave when they come to school. But that's the only thing I can say, is that we have to teach the teachers before they can teach the kids. Thank you.
Next question is to Ellen. How can schools be places of Wichozani, and what is needed to make that happen?
Thank you. So for a lot of students, for some students, I should say, school is a safe place for them. And that's where they find that with their teachers and whatnot, having conversations with students. When I was a teacher in Todd County School District, that was very apparent to me. But so there kind of already are places of Wichozani. However, I also did teach a Lakota language staff class, and it actually had a lot of teachers that were interested in learning Lakota language, even though it was the very basics. And for the objective of that was for the teachers to reflect back to the students, to just say things like "Dayan wachianke," it's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. And for the teachers to reflect back to the students that it's okay for them to use their language, that it reinforces who they are, where they come from. And, language, we have lost so many fluent speakers and so many cultural advocates out there that it's kind of scary to think about, really. But, if we wait for it to start in the home, it's not in the home anymore. We're also, as a district, as a school district, we do have that responsibility. School systems were designed to really eradicate cultures, and native culture specifically. That's the history of it. And so as a school district, we have a responsibility of uplifting that and bringing that back. And I believe we can do that as a school district. There are steps in place that are being done for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Last question, Josh. Same question again. How can schools be places of wichozani, and what is needed to make that happen?
Thank you for that question. Kind of hard to really touch base on that question with everybody's responses, which are all really good responses. I've always firmly believed that, a lot of how our kids conduct themselves and vice versa with the staff, it begins at home. That's just the most important aspect that we need to instill in our communities once again. The schools and the school district can only do so much, and it's only a certain amount of days through the year that it takes place. But I firmly believe it needs to be brought back to the homes where we teach that importance. And, we need to also work with families that may have difficulties trying to achieve that with their children. And I go back again, stating that we need to collaborate with communities and really enforce a roundtable collaboration to achieve a lot of the objectives and goals that we want to achieve and what we want to see happen for our students and staff alike. And I think if we can initiate that process and take those first steps to doing that, we're going to see the overall goal much more achievable. So, thank you.
I would like to thank each of the candidates and our facilitators for both asking and answering some tough and really important questions. We know that it can be a little nerve-wracking, like I said, to just show up and not know what's going to be coming your way. And we really appreciate you being here and your willingness and courage to participate in this process so that voters can just hear your thoughts on some of these issues. Before we close out, we do want to give the candidates each a moment to share any closing thoughts or thinkings around things that you didn't get a chance to share yet or to double down on. And the order for this time, I'll tell the order again and then share a little bit more. So we'll go Tim, Alan, Josh, Shelley, and then Deb. And this is, again, your time to talk about any priorities or issues that you haven't had a chance to speak on, or just to share anything you want voters to know about you. And I think because we're a little ahead of time, we can do 2 minutes per candidate, so you'll get a solid 2 minutes here. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get started with Tim.
Sure, give me the first one. It's been a labor being on the board, but it's also been a labor that I enjoyed. Todd County was the pillar of society for many, many years, and I would like my best to bring that back. We lost a lot with the pandemic. We lost a lot. And we're just now coming back. But the reason I ran for the school board was to ensure that the voices of the parents, the students, and the staff were being heard. And I can attest to that I do bring that forward, and I will continue to if I'm elected. That is the most important thing, is that people be heard and their issues be brought to the table. Whether you agree with them or not, it is our jobs to bring that forward. And I've had a lot of issues I brought forward that were controversial, a lot of issues that weren't popular, but that's my job. And I really enjoyed working with the board because we get some good discussions going. And it's always fun to do that. We get different points of view. Everybody's got a different point of view how the policies should be interpreted. And that's one of the hardest things to do as a group, is to come together with those policies. When you open up that policy and procedure book, the first thing it says on there is what are the duties of the board? It is to act in the best interest of the Todd County School District, period. And that's what I've tried to do the last 3 years. And that's what I want to do again if I'm elected. So I thank you, everybody who listened to me over the last 3 years and put up with me. And I hope that you had enough confidence in me to do it again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tim. Alan, you're up next.
Okay, so my perspective is, just in closing, I was an administrator for Todd County School District for a year, and I was a middle school teacher at Todd County School District for 3 years. So I have this teacher perspective and this administrator perspective coming through this. I have worked with the board, and I do have experience with working with the board. But you know, I'm a real strong advocate for language and culture for sure, and you know, it's kind of going back to I'm actually I'm really strong in language. You know, I'm really about Todd County School District building a strong language program through K-12. But I also know that there's a lot of issues within that. You know, around here, we don't have a lot of teachers, Lakota language teachers, and then it's something that we can maybe develop a program for our staff. I also believe there should be parent training in some of these things to work with, you know, rather than reaching out to communities. I think parents, we should host trainings at schools for the parents to be more involved. An example would be like even just a cultural activity with the parents, such as drum making, moccasin making, you know, very basic things with parents to be more involved with the kids in that way with cultural activities. You know, again, very strong proponent for OSCU in the classrooms. And again, there are a lot of teachers and principals that are actually doing some really awesome things in the district when it comes to language and culture. But they need help. They need our support. And again, I'm here with that experience, and I would just love to be part of the decision making in these things. You know, one key thing again, just to really kind of remember, is we do have that responsibility to, as a school board, to help with language revitalization and culture revitalization. So I feel we can create a strong program in that area.
Thank you so much, Alan. Next up, Josh.
Good evening once again. First of all, I just want to say thank you for Rosebud, Tokala, Nadio, for you guys' questions, all very important questions. Also want to thank the other candidates for being here this evening. It's great to hear your guys' responses on the questions as well. Just in closing, I just want to say it's been an honor and privilege to be a part of Antelope Community. Especially to be serving as community president, and that has been a probably the utmost learning experience that's been provided to me and for the community members to instill their trust to lead the community has been an honor, and I just want to thank the community members for that. Being a part of the city council for the city of Mission has been a learning experience as well, and what we've done up to this point has been, I'm very thankful to be a part of that process. Running for the school board, the overall position that I have for that, the reasoning is basically to bring my experience as far as serving with those two entities and bring that to the table as far as the school board, and being an avenue for a voice for our staff, students, and parents alike to bring that to the table. And as Tim had mentioned too, a lot of decisions have to be made, tough decisions have to be made, and issues have to be brought to the table. And whether we agree with them or not, it has to be done. And I hope I have the distinct honor and privilege to be elected to the school board and serve our district and our community members, parents, and students alike. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Josh. Shelley.
Thank you to For Rosebud and Tokala and Najo and anybody else and for putting this on and letting us voice our opinions and our views, and we'll be able to everybody, the other candidates here, for showing up and giving their perspectives. But I guess I wanted to say I'm not an educational professional. I'm a parent, and I've always been a very active parent. And I think I like to look at the big picture and how does education and the quality of education fit into the big picture and how does that have the potential to improve the quality of life for all of our communities in general. You know, there's so many factors that go into that. I still am part of conversations about recruitment and retention and how do we grow our own teachers so that they're invested and they're from here, and how do we lift up our community members and help them to achieve any aspirations they might have of becoming teachers and the financial struggles that are associated with that, and how do we alleviate that. Still currently and have been since its inception, a member of the Lakota Culture and Language Committee at the district, which I participate in still. Conversations about getting the new Rosebud school built. You know, I think anybody who knows me knows that I was an advocate before I sat on the board. I was an advocate while I sat on the board, and I'm still doing the work even after I've gotten off the board. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm willing to do the work whether I'm at the table or not. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Shelley. And Deb?
Once again, thank you for Rosebud, the color Nashville, especially my students. I would like to say thank you to the constituents. I mean, and also ditto to the rest of you that are sitting here at the table. I mean, you don't get on the board just because you want to be on the board. I mean, and we need to listen, we need to understand, and we need to empower our constituents. I mean, and I've been in education for decades, and I always talk to my students. I still talk to my students. I'm currently employed yet in education. I preach to the students, and the students need to know who they are, where they come from, and always be proud of that. You know, and it's just, but at the same time, we have, board members have obligations to what our role is. We need to prepare, you know, students with quality education. And that's one of the focus. We need to value our staff. And one of the things I want to piggyback what Shelley said, one of the things that's been a priority of mine lately is infrastructure. We've been getting, you know, new buildings. You know, Parmalee Elementary, as you know, it's called Parmalee Elementary today. I don't know what it will be called later, but I mean, every single student in Todd County deserves to be in a new school. And I've always believed that, and that's one of the things that, you know, we've been, you know, in these past years. Tim also mentioned fierce conversations. He didn't put it that way, but I believe that fierce conversations are needed. It's okay to have those fierce conversations. You know, have those fierce conversations. Bring them to the table. Talk about it. Get everything out in the open. And then go back and get to that goal. Once again, I would like to thank you all for having us again this year. I would appreciate any vote that we get. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. And thank you to everybody again for your participation. We are done a little early, which I think is unprecedented for us. So that's great work. And to those of you who are zooming in or listening on channel 93 or the YouTube channel, don't forget to vote. The election is June 7th. And so don't forget to vote. And I believe will we be able to share the recording of this on our Facebook page for Rosebud. So if you didn't get a chance, or if you know people who you want to share this with, be sure to share the recording. And again, just want to offer my gratitude to everyone who zoomed in, who watched, and to our wonderful candidates for your participation and courage. And wish you all the best in the upcoming election. And we will see you soon. All right, and that's a wrap.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll let you know when kind of get that up.
Hey, thank you.
Probably just. So I'll kind of keep you in the loop on that. Yeah. Good job. See ya. Yeah.
Good job. Good job.
Good luck.
Oh, I love this. Color for you. Yes. I feel like.
See ya.
Yeah, I think that's what I